I'm Terry Sacka, and this is Rigged Against You. Today, we're going to discuss recession, stocks, and crypto, and wait until you see the correlation between the stock market today and in the Great Depression. Now, remember, this has been set up. This is not something that is being caused by tariffs. This should have happened years ago. We are completely overdone in the price to earnings ratio in the stock market. We've been printing trillions of dollars in liquidity to keep the market going for the last few years. It has been fake. The last 6 months of the Biden administration, they printed like $700 billion into liquidity just to keep the market up for the election. This is not real. The economy is not what the mainstream media is telling you, and you need to know the facts. And when you see the data, wait until you see towards the end of this, I'm going to show you the correlating charts. And when you see it, if nothing tells you more than anything else that we are in a precarious situation that should be protected, it is now. I highly recommend that you go to Cornerstone Asset Metals and start your diversification as gold marches to 5,000 and silver 150. And please, before we get started, consider subscribing, hit the bell notification. I don't do too many podcasts, but when I do, the information is really good and you can be notified and be able to watch it. So let me get going here on the recession. Now, the inflation has not stopped. We still have it. Now, they say prices are going down. Listen, it's politics. But the fact is, a lot of prices have really not gone down. We are flatlining to some extent, which is a good thing. But the dollar is not worth what you think it is. We are going into this reset, and why crypto is going to play a huge role in this, especially with tokenization. Well, let me get going here on what they're expecting anyway. This is the forecast of rate cuts. They're talking potentially 5 rate cuts during the year 2025. This rate cut here, you can see the chart. These rate cuts, the expectation of these rate cuts are going to be huge because the rate cuts alone, not just the dollar dropping, is why you're seeing gold go up $100 a day. We are now at $3,350 an ounce in gold, and it's going to continue. Now, we could get a correction at some point, but gold will march towards 5,000, and you will see silver to 150. And at the same time, the market has an extreme potential, as you saw today, coming right back down, an extreme potential to go 40% down in the Dow. If it slips through that 40%, it could get really ugly. This has been needed, and it's not something that Trump is doing. He is just addressing the issue head on, and what he's going to accomplish, we can only hope, will be a cleansing and a rebuilding of America that can be prosperous for each and every one of us. But we're going to have to go through this short-term pain. There's just no way around it. So the bottom line, which is really interesting for me, is, let me get this a little bigger here, is the emergency overnight repurchase agreements. They call them repos, are $0, which is very interesting. There's a small chart there, nothing really to see except the fact that if you notice on the chart on the bottom, it's flatline. It is 0. Repo is how the Federal Reserve injects liquidity into the banking system during a financial crisis. The banks borrow money overnight. We're not seeing that. This flash crash is purely orchestrated by the banking cartel and hedge funds. Think about what I just said. This market crash is purely orchestrated by the banking cartel and the hedge funds. And when I say orchestrated, I mean orchestrated because in 2019, the fall of 2019, if you saw that repo market, I was screaming at the time, we're in deep trouble. We've been in trouble since then. But in the fall of 2019, the repo market was hundreds of billions of dollars a day. A day. The banks were in deep trouble. And conveniently, a pandemic showed up, which allowed the governments around the world to print trillions upon trillions. I think we injected some 14 trillion into the system. Why we have the inflation we have today. We can all get in a debate about what that pandemic was, and a lot of us know it was definitely not what they said it was, but how convenient it showed up when the banking system was literally in a meltdown. And then today, you see the stock market wobbling at the top, and yet no repo action. It tells you it's being coordinated. My guess, they're trying to blame the whole system on President Trump to try to drive negative media and sentiment within the people. Be very educated. That's why I want to put this out. Wait till you see these charts, because this has had to happen. It was supposed to happen years ago. If they didn't print fake currency dollars and put it into the system, this would have happened years and years ago. Take a look at this. This is the Dow Jones right now. Now, this is a wedge, and what we're seeing is it's breaking below the wedge at the right there in 2025. We have followed this trend line, and now we have broken through the trend line, which is very bad for a stock market. And we can only surmise that where this is going and where the bottom will be. Be very cautious, because there's an old adage in the markets: don't try to catch a falling knife. And here's where it gets really interesting, is when you put it to 1929 and the Great Depression. Look at how we were riding up that wedge, how everybody was having a great time in the markets. And when we broke through that wedge, you see how it battled there in the upper right on the wedge line, and then a total collapse. The stock market ended up dropping 90%. Now, I'm not saying it's dropping 90%, but we are in serious trouble. And what's very interesting, I know Lauren Atkinson had mentioned, which I didn't catch, that Kim Clement had a very interesting prophecy where he said he saw the stock market at 20,000. And I was telling Lauren, if it drops through that 32,000 in the Dow, which it really could, that's a 40% drop right there. We could go in the 20s. But if we do, the hedge funds will be in serious trouble. We're talking trillions of dollars in bailout. We are at an epic period in the market system that has just been beat up with liquidity. It's all been fake. If we did not inject this liquidity into the market since the pandemic in fall of 2019, these markets never would have risen like this. If you're not booking your profits and going to cash, you're making a big mistake, because you don't know how long it's going to take before this gets back to what we would call a reasonable level. Or a break even, I guess. This is a great time to cut your loss, get into silver, especially because the gold silver ratio is like 103 to 1, meaning that 103 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold, completely out of whack. And in 2011, the silver gold ratio was down to 35, 36. We go there now, silver's in 3 figures. My colleagues say before this whole thing's over, we should see gold and silver ratio at 10 to 1, which would put silver at $300 and change. If you don't think it's going to happen, you're going to be quite surprised when it does, and you're going to look back and wish you took advantage of it. Not just about the gains that you can have, but about the fact that you're not taking these losses in the stock market and waiting it out until you break even, because you still will have to contend with inflation along with waiting to break even. But this gets really interesting. Look at this one. This is the Dow Jones now in 1929. Look at the years, 1620, how we rallied up 26 and then up to 29. Just like we did in the first chart I showed you on our DAR movement now. And then look how it breaks through in 1930. This took a little time, and we're seeing it play out. Look how it broke through to the bottom. Once it breaks those trend lines, it will be a computer sell-off fire sale. Now, during that time, it was a 90% correction. We can only pray it doesn't go that far. I can't imagine it would. But even 40, 50, 60% is going to be catastrophic for a lot of people, especially those in the older years. But this is big stuff. These charts are real. And the fact we're correlating with 1929 should be alarming to everybody. This is the S&P right now. Look at the top right corner. We are rolling over the top right to that line. And once we break below, who knows where the bottom is? Remember, do not catch a falling knife. This is the NASDAQ. Same thing. Look at how at the top, it's a little bit more at the top, still robust. But the NASDAQ is on the verge of rolling over as well. Now, this gets into a lot of indicators for people that are into charts and the technicals. But you can see where we're getting ready to roll over in all the indexes. All I can say is we are really close right now to a recession, which we are already in and have been in, but a market crash at an epic level that is uniquely looking like it's orchestrated. Now, where do cryptos come in? I believe this is part of what we call the reset of the financial system. This will bring in crypto once they pass those regulations and the new tax laws, and they start tokenizing, as Larry Fink of BlackRock has said. They want to tokenize every bond and every stock transaction, and that's just BlackRock. Wait until it's Fidelity and State Street and Vanguard and Barclays and UBS and all the other major banks around the world. Tokenization will come on the heels of cryptos like XRP, XLM, HBAR, and others. It's going to take time, but these cryptos have a chance to literally bring unbelievable wealth to we the people who own it, but definitely the United States of America and the government. My guess, a lot of people are going to sell out way too soon. BlackRock wants your XRP. They want your cryptos. They're going to do everything they can to shake you out as they start accumulating these cryptos. I highly recommend at least hedging yourself. Sell half of it if you have to. Book the profits. But you're going to find 2025 to be an extraordinary year for crypto, gold, and silver. Why you're not paying attention to the data I just showed you, you can't make that up. It's not me saying it, so don't shoot the messenger, but be educated, because it's the one who is educated. And in the Bible, it says the truth will set you free. So until next time, God bless you.
With all of the recent changes in the political and financial markets, there has never been a better time than right now to invest in silver and gold. When governments simply print billions of dollars in paper money in hopes of solving financial shortfalls, you know that it is time to buy and hold assets of true and lasting value. Free information is available to you right now by calling 888-747-3309. Whether you are a new investor or you're interested in preserving the value of your retirement accounts, we make it easy for you to make smart decisions for your financial future. The specialists at Cornerstone are here to serve you, work to satisfy your retirement goals, and communicate with respect. Call us right now at 888-747-3309. That's 888-747-3309. Or visit us online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. That's cornerstoneassetmetals.com.